In September of 2022, I went through my usual day, work from home the day, and nothing out of the ordinary really. And as a habit, I typically scroll through my emails pretty much whenever I get a chance. And in comes an email at about 9 p.m. The email goes to the tone that likely there's going to be a layoff, and if you're impacted, you'll be getting an email invite for the morning. So we had a WhatsApp group for the team, and it was going nuts. Everybody was just pinging each other, comparing notes with one another to see if each other got an invite. So as a manager, I wasn't read into what was happening, to be fair, and all I did was to calm everybody down and to not jump to conclusions, at least till the next morning. But what I didn't tell everyone was that I also had an invite myself. But mine was the earliest session of the entire team. To be really honest, I wasn't sure if I was called in to be told who on my team was impacted or it was myself being impacted. The invite understandably had very limited details. As you can imagine, I was a little troubled the whole night, not knowing what's going to happen tomorrow. But I guess there's no point overthinking it as well. Besides, my session was going to be 9 a.m. and I would know what's up by then. So the very next morning, got up early, jumped on the call, and there I was, with my boss's boss and a few HR folks I've never met before. My leadership shared with me then that I was being let go and told me specifically it wasn't a performance related issue. Then the HR folks filled me in on what I will be expecting from my package and the next steps. It was a pretty swift call altogether, all done in 15 minutes, and I was told my access would be terminated an hour after the call. So what were my first thoughts? To my surprise, my first thoughts weren't about specifically being let go. My first thoughts were to those under my leadership that was going to be let go. Maybe because I've been through this a few times in my career and I knew exactly what to expect. But I also had a very young team and some of them were dependent on the job to actually stay in Singapore because of work permit tie-ins with the organization. To be really honest, I felt weighed down by all these considerations that is happening. So once everybody was done with their sessions with HR, the team got together again that evening for drinks and we all huddled together and provided support for each other. It was heartbreaking to see some of them cry and I felt truly responsible, though I knew there wasn't anything I could have done differently. The next couple of days and weeks that followed, for me at least, I spent most of my time going on LinkedIn. But not for myself, more from looking for suitable gigs for the extended team. I sent my recommendations after recommendations and letting them know if they see a gig that they do like, put it up on the chat and we will all see and pool together our resources to see how we can link each other up. The support and camaraderie from everyone made me happy and sad at the same time. Happy that we were there for each other, but also very sad that this great bunch of people are actually breaking up. When the dust did settle after maybe around the third or fourth week, I started to look at my own inbox. I was actually quite surprised by the countless messages from various people offering me help or potential roles to explore. I was honored and flattered at the same time with the support from the community. Some days I feel I'm just a cog in a big wheel and what I do is so insignificant in the scale of things. I always tell myself I'm just doing my job, everyone has their issues and busy with work. It is times like this when it all comes together, then you ponder, maybe I've done something right. So the natural instinct was to start speaking to everyone and try to land a job. But maybe it was just my way of processing it. I hadn't had much time to think about it since that fateful morning in September. So I decided to thank everybody for reaching out, but I pushed and rejected all the conversations and opportunities. I truly wanted a break. After all, it is my first forced break in a long while. The layoff we had was one of the earliest of many tech layoffs in the region. Shortly after that, every single big tech started to lay off, from the Facebooks to Amazon to Google, and it was looking as bleak as ever. So in the back of my mind, it felt like I could be out for a good amount of time. So I decided that it's probably time to fill my newfound time with something. One thing that came to mind was, I always wanted to learn new skills that I never had time to learn. I also had a laundry list of home improvement fixes that I needed to get done, or rather learn to get done. I spent a lot of time on YouTube, as you can imagine. And lastly, I also had more time to spend with the family and the kids, so I became their full-time driver ferrying them around. So during that time, I picked up some interesting hobbies, those that include gardening, repairing broken toys, operating a DJ deck, and even learning to play the guitar. But mind you, I didn't actually master any of those, but at least I tried. So did I actively look into getting a role eventually? I think the answer is yes and no. I realized logging into LinkedIn daily and refreshing it as if there were new roles every hour and every minute seemed pretty pointless. Not to mention it was a pretty bleak market. So I decided that I'll log in once a week, spend about 20 minutes on it, and if there was nothing, just move on and resume my daily activities. I did go through countless interviews when it started. The reason I didn't mind it much was because the fact that I have time and I was relatively out of practice. So despite not getting any hits from initial interviews, it was great practice for when the real opportunity came about. Were there times when I felt a little down and despaired when things don't work out after the interview? Yeah, for sure. It's only human that we feel that way. So, what did I do? I'll just go for a walk, spend some time with the kids, cook for the family, do some gardening for that matter. And frankly, that helped distract me from all the challenges that are going on in my head. It's also important to remind yourself, it's a process. It's only a failure if the journey ends here. Otherwise, these failures are part of the story. Much like how movies are. Halfway through the movie, the hero hits a low point, and if you ended the movie there and then, the hero's done. But if you continue watching, who knows what's going to happen in the end. So the interview process went on for a couple of months, and during that time, I learned to enjoy what I had instead. I learned to have a lot more gratitude for the stuff I have in my life. At that moment, I realized that when we take work away, time really slows down. And my perspective of life completely changed. I finally landed a role in 6 months. I know, in all honesty, I've been extremely lucky in many ways to be given the opportunity, and I have not taken that for granted. That's the reason I also wanted to share this video to those that are impacted. I'm not great with motivational speeches or quotes, but all I can say is this. You are not alone in this. You don't need to do this alone, and there is life beyond work, and it's a journey. Life, unfortunately, is meant to be tough, and it is the challenges that enables us to appreciate what we have and does make us stronger. Much like the saying, smooth seas don't make skillful sailors. So, if you need somebody to bounce ideas on, want to know more about my journey, or if you need somebody to hook you up, feel free to drop me a comment and I'll try my best to reply. But till then, thanks again for tuning in and good luck in your hunt.